Hello, my name is James, I'm the Mayor of Jamestown, and today I'm going to discuss my thoughts on the Spider-Man DLC for Marvel's Avengers. I've spent a couple of hours with the character now, and I've got a few thoughts and feelings I wish to mention about them. Now, I will start by prefacing that this isn't a build video or anything like that. The character has only been out for a day or two, and I'm not a massive Marvel's Avengers player, so when it comes to building a character, you've come to the wrong place. I'm terrible at making builds anyway, so I'm not even going to pretend that I can. With that out of the way, let's see what the character has in store for us. In terms of his kit, he's a little bit different to most of the cast in Marvel's Avengers. Specifically, I mean his R2 ability. Instead of it being linked to some kind of ability such as Hulk's Rage or Thor's Lightning, Spider-Man will instead swing around on his webs. As to be expected, his web swinging is more for his utility, and when you press the jump button along with it, he can get some excessive height and is honestly the fastest way to move around with him. However, if you don't do the jumps, he is quite slow when it comes to web swinging, so heavy recommend on the jumps. One big problem I have with his web swinging, other than it just being a bit too slow, is the fact it doesn't always control how you want it to. A lot of the time when you're trying to web swing in any direction that isn't straight ahead, Spider-Man will sharply aim in that direction, and it's quite difficult to fix where he's going once you've done this. It isn't too hard to get used to, but it just feels a tad clunky at times. As to be expected with his web swinging, he does the cardinal sin of swinging off of the sky when there's nothing around him. This is to be expected as the maps aren't specifically designed around Spider-Man himself, so his web swinging isn't going to be perfect. Thankfully, when he is around building and objects to swing off of, he will actually swing off them, which is a nice detail. So, since Spidey doesn't actually have the standard R2 function, what does his intrinsic meter actually do, you might be wondering? Well, once it's full, you can perform a takedown action on the enemy without needing to whittle down their stun bar, which is fantastic. Obviously it goes down with any hits you take, but when it comes to Spider-Man's intrinsic meter, I'm pretty pleased with it. One thing I must say that I'm not the biggest fan of is his ranged attack animation. It is definitely the weakest part of his character, it just feels like it has no impact and it just doesn't look good. I remember seeing one comment saying that he looks as if the poor bugger is desperate to find a toilet with the way he's standing, and it's something I've not been able to look past since. It isn't particularly well animated, but to be fair, I've never really liked many of the ranged attacks in this game with the exception of Thor's Hammer just because it's so damn good. A new major mechanic with Spider-Man is the new webbing status. Any web-based attacks such as his ranged attack or his abilities will slowly build up the web status. Once it's full, the character will be webbed up and stunned, meaning they won't be able to do anything for a short period of time. On top of this, enemies can be pinned to walls with it as well, which just looks and feels fantastic when you manage to pull it off. However, easily my favourite part of the character are his heavy attacks. Pretty much whenever you press triangle, Spider-Man will tag onto an enemy with his web and launch himself towards them, as if he was Scorpion screaming, "Get over here!" It's very fun and easily my favourite part of the character, alongside the little swing kick he can do in the air. I won't deny, it definitely does not reach far enough, but there's just something really fun about punching someone into the air and swing kicking them into the stratosphere. It's exactly what I did in the Marvel Spider-Man games from start to finish, so I'm happy to see it make a return for Avengers. I will admit though, I'm not too enamoured by his specials and his ult. His L1 ability places down a spider drone that shoots at enemies within a small area, inflicting them with a webbing status. I will admit, I do enjoy how quickly the drone manages to web up enemies around you. Next up is the R1 ability called the Spider Bomb. Spider-Man will throw a bomb that inflicts damage along with a webbing status, but nowhere near as much as the spider drone. I can't really say I care much for it, but it does the job. The same goes for his ultimate, the Wrecking Ball or the Webbing Ball, I legit can't remember the name of it off the top of my head. Spider-Man will leap into the air and slam a massive ball of web onto the ground, dealing a bunch of damage and leaving him with a temporary buff for a few seconds. Again, I'm not too enamoured by his abilities. Yes, they are useful, but I don't think they're all that fun to use, but that might just be me. All in all though, I am actually really enjoying my time with Spider-Man. I won't deny that it sucks that he doesn't have any story related missions for himself and that his animations are a little rough around the edges. When playing the character though, he's actually quite a bit of fun and arguably more fun than most of the other characters, at least in my humble opinion. Sure, he probably isn't the best version of Spider-Man we're ever going to see, but I'm not going to pretend that I didn't enjoy my time with the character just because he isn't perfect. With that though, this video must come to its inevitable end. Thank you to those that have stuck around until the end, be sure to like, comment, subscribe and all of that good stuff. I've been James, the Mayor of Jamestown, and until next time, goodbye.